Hi guys, Jorge Pelayo. Today I want to talk about the 10 different mindsets between an employee and an entrepreneur. Number one, an employee works for somebody else, whereas an entrepreneur wants to work for themselves. I've had a great boss, but didn't pay me well, and I like being in control of my income. I've had bad bosses that didn't pay me well, and I want to be in control of my income. Entrepreneurs are driven by control, freedom, autonomy, that they can make those decisions in their life. And so if you're driven by you want more control and more freedom, you may want to consider entrepreneurship. Number two, in terms of how you make income, right? You have a fixed income. As an employee, you typically know exactly what you're going to make that week, those 2 weeks, that month, that year, with the exception of maybe a bonus, or if you're a salary plus commission in case you're in sales as an employee. Maybe you do have more unlimited growth if you're selling more. That's a kind of a hybrid between maybe an employee and a salesperson. It's not your business, so I wouldn't say you're an entrepreneur, but you have more income ability. Typically, though, as an employee, you have a fixed income. You know exactly what's coming in. And even if you work harder, even if you improve, you're not getting paid more. Unless you're in an organization that truly values people that are doing more than they get paid to do, and they're looking to lift you up and promote you up, oftentimes that doesn't exist as much. And so a lot of people will stay in that position at that income for a very long time. Whereas an entrepreneur, you have an exponential income. If you go work harder, you give more, you improve, you compete, you add more value, you're going to earn more income. And so there's unlimited income. And that's really something that I liked. I saw my parents struggle, work really, really hard, not make a lot of money, just like probably you have. And I said, man, my mom is worth more, right, than a 25% raise. My dad is worth more than what he's getting paid at his job. And I said, man, I want to go put myself in a position where I have that unlimited income, and every single year, man, if I go get better, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a positive unknown versus a negative unknown. And so if you have dreams and goals and you know that those are going to require more income, you may want to consider entrepreneurship, again, because of that exponential income. Here's the nice part. Point number three, earned income versus passive income. See, as an employee, you have to work. The day you decide to say, hey, this was awesome, I'm going to stop working here, that's the last day you're getting a check, okay? Or 2 weeks from that day. You're not going to get paid anymore. It's earned income. So you don't work, you don't get paid. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you have passive income. Let me give you two stories. One, we're having our first boy, Georgie. He's now 16 months at the time of this video, so this was a while ago. And that few days, okay, we were there early, we had to get induced, and there's a process to that. If you've had a baby, you know what I'm talking about, if you had to go through that. And then there's the actual baby, and then there's, making sure mom's good. While we're gone and we're at the hospital, we made $20,000 while we were having a baby. Right? Even though I wasn't in the office, even though I wasn't picking up phone calls, even though I wasn't meeting with clients, we still earned $20,000. Let me give you another story. We went to Paris and Monaco, and we had an amazing time and spent time with my CEO, my mentor, Patrick Bet-David, spent time with one of our top earners, number one earner currently in the company, Rodolfo and Ceci Vargas, and my wife, and we go to this private beach in Monaco and take the helicopter, and we have this amazing experience at staying at the Fairmont right next to the Casino Royale that they did the James Bond movie in. Sick. And while we're on this vacation and we're gone for that 7-8 days, we made around $30,000, $35,000 while we were traveling. See, a lot of entrepreneurs want that passive income. You want to know that, hey, whether I'm at that office that day or talking to a client that day, I know income's coming in for my family. Why? Because I did the work to build that passive income. So if you truly want passive income, again, you may want to consider entrepreneurship. Point number four, no need to overachieve. Right? Hey, if I do more, I don't get paid more. Why give all that extra energy? Why? Oftentimes it's discouraging to know that. Whereas an entrepreneur, when you overachieve, it means more income. When you work harder, it means more income. When you're more creative, it means more income. When you bring more energy, it brings more income. So you know you're getting a direct benefit from that additional push that you're doing. Point number five, vacation determined by somebody else versus as an entrepreneur, you decide when you take vacation. I remember growing up as a kid and we would have to wait for my mom to have vacation or my dad to have vacation. Unless it was an in-between a transition. At one point they were entrepreneurs, so we kind of took vacation whenever we wanted to. But when they went and got a job and that business closed down and they go back to this schedule, this job, now we're waiting for an employer to say, hey, here's your time off. And I remember there'd be things like, hey, let's go to the beach today. And it would be the day that I was working, and I had to like find a way to I'm not feeling too good. I can't come in today. And I had to pretend to be sick to get my time back. And I said, what the hell are you doing, George? Why are you having to pretend to be sick to get your time back? Because you're not in control of your schedule. Somebody else makes those decisions for you. Or, hey, you know what? I have to be back. I have to be back by this date. So you're in the middle of a moment. You're like, hey, what if we just go there one more day? No, I can't. I will get fired. I have to be back at my job. Like just knowing like somebody else controls you. Somebody else decides when you can or can't do something. For me, I just don't enjoy that. I hate people having control over my life, my decisions, and I want that freedom. Now, with that comes more responsibility, but you decide. There's so many people that look forward to like a 3-day weekend. Why? Because somebody else is saying, hey, you get extra time this weekend. I don't want to live a life where I just look forward to a 3-day weekend. I want to live a life where I could take a 3-day weekend when it's not a weekend. I could take a vacation when it's not a vacation. And everybody goes to these places when they're crammed and jammed. And why? Because everybody's on the vacation at the same time. Whereas when you get to make your own schedule, you go when you want to. And you don't have to deal with all those crowds. And you also get to determine the quality of that vacation that you take. There's a lot of people that take a vacation and it's put on a credit card and you're like, oh man, we're going to spend that. Oh man, I'm going to have to pay that off. Man, it's going to take me a year to pay this off. I didn't want to take vacations that way. I want to be able to stay wherever I want to stay, the nicest hotel. It doesn't matter if it's $1,000 a night or $2,000 a night. I want to be able to stay there. I want to be able to go when I want to go. I want to be able to come when I want to come. And if I choose to come back, it's my choice. Now, some people say, well, George, you don't take vacations all the time because look at you and look how hard you work. There's a season in your life where you're building a life for your family. And so, yeah, I choose not to. Why? Because we're building the company, because we're building the agency, because it's a season of momentum, because we're developing other leaders, because I want to be a great example for people. There's a lot of reasons, but when we do, man, the quality of it, maybe instead of a weekend somewhere, that's hey, we're going to Dubai. I remember when I took my brother to Dubai and his wife, and we had an amazing experience. I remember maybe for you, it's I want to go to Italy. Right? I remember when I took my mom to Paris, and then we went to Italy. Hey, I want to go to Greece. I remember when I took my mom to Greece, and we just had this amazing experience. And my sister, and my brother-in-law, and my dad, and we've been to Aruba and Hawaii and Mexico and all these other places. And man, I want my family to go these places too. So the quality is, again, another thing. Let me give you the next point. Number 6, no tax benefits versus tax benefits. What do you mean by that? As an employee, you don't get to write off anything. Whereas an entrepreneur, if I am using this computer for business, I can write off a portion of this computer. If I'm using my phone for business, I can write off a portion of my phone. If I'm having a business meal and we're talking business, I can write off a portion of that meal. If I have a place at my home where I do work, an office, I can write off a portion of my office. I can write off a portion of my car. Maybe it's miles, maybe it's car. You got to talk to tax people about this, but you get more benefits. Why? Who makes the tax laws? People that are poor or people that are wealthy? Typically, it's people that are wealthy. And typically, people that are wealthy also own businesses and typically make a good income because they're business owners. They're influential. They have influence. So there's a lot of benefits. And the government says, hey, you're creating more jobs, right? When we look at all these people and we say, hey, well, all these rich people get all these tax breaks. Reality, if you're going out there and you're owning a business and you're running a business or opening a business and you're hiring people or employing people and you're providing a job for them so that they can go provide for their family and pay their rent or pay their mortgage or buy groceries or spend money in the economy or buy a car or pay their insurance, pay their cell phone bill, spend money into the economy, you're helping the economy. And so if you go create more jobs, there are more tax benefits for business owners. So you may want to consider that. Point number 7, they wait to be told what to do. As an employee, it's like, okay, I did this, what's next? And somebody else is telling you. Versus as an entrepreneur, you're leading yourself constantly. Say, hey, What do I need to do next? What haven't I thought about? How can I improve myself? Again, what season, what's coming up? What's going on in the economy? How am I prepared for that? What's the good that can happen? What's the bad that can happen, right? Where are my opportunities? Where are my threats, right? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do we improve our strengths? How do we improve our weaknesses, right? How do we prepare for these things? So there's a lot more thinking, planning, strategy that you typically do as an entrepreneur. Point number 8, you can be fired at any time, whereas an entrepreneur, nobody can fire you except for yourself. Either you stop selling, you stop growing, you stop competing, you do something illegal so you lose the opportunity to be in business. But outside of those things, nobody can stop you, nobody can fire you, and a lot of people want that freedom in their life. Point number 9, you're building somebody else's dream as an employee, where as an entrepreneur, you're building your dream. One of the questions that Elvis asks, Elvis is one of our top guys, and he'll ask all of his brokers a question, and he'll say, hey, you've built this company for the 20 years or 30 years. At the end of that time frame, will you be able to give that to your son or your daughter? Will you be able to pass on those 20, 30 years to your next generation? And the answer, if you have a job, is no, right? Versus if you're going to go give the best 20, 30 years of your life or the next 5, 10 years of your life, why not give it towards something that's yours where you can pass that on to a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife, or you have the ability to sell it in the future for a certain income because it's valuable, but you're building your dream versus somebody else's dream. And lastly, point number 10, as an employee, oftentimes you're following orders or following direction or following a plan, where as an entrepreneur, you're a leader. You're really leading other people. You're initiating, you're creating. And so I don't know who's watching this video, obviously, but if you're an employee and you're watching this, ask yourself, hey, out of these 10 points from employee to entrepreneur, which one do I have more of? Where do I relate more? Maybe you're meant to be an employee. Maybe you want to be an employee. Maybe you don't want that responsibility. I don't look down on people because of that. I don't judge people because of that. One of the concepts that we talk a lot about is intrapreneur. Maybe you're going to go help an entrepreneur, and as they grow, you grow, and you have to look and say, hey, if I add more value, how can I earn more? Hey, if I add more value, how can I be a part of the company? What can I do there? Or maybe you're the person that says, you know what, man, I'm fired up. I got big dreams. I got big goals. Nobody's ever going to pay me what I'm worth. Nobody's ever going to give me the freedom that I want. I don't want to follow rules of other people. I don't want to have a boss. I'm ready to go do that. And maybe you start part-time and you say, okay, let me try this part-time, keep my job, don't quit, don't hurt your family financially, and prove to yourself that you have what it takes to where you can replace that income on a part-time schedule as what you do full-time at your job, and then make that leap. So my challenge to you guys is decide who you want to be and then go give it your very best. So are you an employee or are you an entrepreneur? Post in the comments below.